Welcome to Remarkable. We are broadcasting the stories of Sri Lankan entrepreneurs around the world doing amazing work. My name is Buddhima. I'm a technical product lead, startup advisor, and co founder.
Hi, I'm Shad. I'm based here in Singapore. I run a marketing and technology agency based in Asia Pacific.
Hi, my name is Chalender. I am from the sunny shores of Sri Lanka. I'm on the venture capital space, investing in early stage startups across South Asia and Southeast Asia.
Hi, I'm Shavini Fernando, and I'm the founder CEO of OxiWear, and I'm based in Virginia, USA.
Thank you so much, Shavini, for joining us and accepting our invitation. I think most of us have seen the amazing work that you are doing, and we want to have you part of this session as well.
Jumping right in. Shavini, what do people need to know about you?
Okay, that's very sudden. Okay, no one has asked that question, but for anyone who wants to know about me, I'm a very blunt rebel personality. So that's me. That's how I have always been, and I whatever that's in the head comes out of the mouth. By profession, I'm a video game developer, but now I have no idea how I ended up, but I'm doing a medical device company.
That's the story of many entrepreneurs who have gone through pretty interesting journeys, and that's what we're here to talk about and learn more from you. And what would you say drives you to do what you do?
The emails and everything that I get from people, like about their pain points and how much what I do has helped them, and how like some people have done things they have not done in 6 years or 7 years, and how I have been able to help. So most of the time, like when things are going like down the drain, I'm like, am I crazy? What the hell am I doing? But then after that, when I see those mails, I'm like, okay, let's get this done.
So, sticking to the genesis of your company, Shavini, can you just tell us a little bit about how did it begin and how has it evolved today?
I was an athlete in school, and I had no idea I had a hole in the heart. And I was misdiagnosed as asthma my whole life. And so, because I had a hole in the heart and I was athlete, I was overworking my heart, and which ended up damaging both my whole engine, the heart and both lungs. So in 2015, I got diagnosed with Eisenmenger syndrome, and most of you must have seen the YouTube videos and all that. So the doctors in Sri Lanka said that I got 2 years to live. And as I said, I'm a bit of a rebel. When people challenge me and dare me, I want to prove them no, I'll show you how it's done. I told the doctor, I'll show you how it's done. I'll live more than 2 years. I'll show you how well I am. And my sister lived in US at that moment. They worked for the World Bank. So I got on a flight, came to US for a second opinion from John Hopkins. And then they said, I can never get on a plane again and I'm not going home. And eventually, initially they said, we need to figure out how you respond to the medicine. But the definite therapy, they said, is heart and lung transplant, and for me to be prepared to go for one in 2 years. But they said, let's see how it's done. So even at then, like, John Hopkins refused to take me because I didn't have insurance, and then the doctors fought for me, and then I had to show that I have money. And then I literally had to restart my life here again. I wrote my resignation letters from here because I couldn't go back. I had an event planning company. I had to close that from here. My mom had to like clean my apartment, empty everything. And so the thing was, from that diagnosis from Eisenmenger, the thing is I have severe pulmonary hypertension. My lungs are like, it's concrete now. It's damaged completely. There's no more damage left. So my oxygen drops really low. Now if I check my oxygen, I must be like around 89, 87. But I don't physically feel it because I've been athlete. My body has got accustomed to live with very low oxygen. So according to my doctors, I'm like literally like a Sherpa living in top of Everest. I can function with very low oxygen. But the tricky part is where, because I don't physically feel it, I don't feel until it dropped really low. And when it drops below 40, you end up with cardiac arrest or a stroke. So, like after coming here, I had to restart my life. So the easiest was to study again. And I started studying at Georgetown. I already had two masters, but in USA, you can't get a job. Even no matter how qualified you are, you need to go again from the scratch. So I started doing my third master's at Georgetown. And with my oxygen, I was tied entirely with the oxygen. So I just took my oxygen. And what I always say is, when you're once athlete, you're always athlete. You just want to always challenge your limits. So I was like, who cares? Like, I don't know any of these people, so who cares what people think of me? Right. So I just took oxygen, went to school. And then when I was at Georgetown, I ended up with a cardiac arrest. And then the doctors were like, uh, Georgetown, if anyone knows Georgetown, it's in the hills. So they said, like, you have selected the most hilliest campus. You need to change the school to a school in a flat land. And I just started living on my own. And then they said, you need to move back and live with your sister. It's not safe for you to live alone. And again, I felt like he was challenging me. So I was like, how hard it is to get admission to Georgetown, right? And you want me to change it and go to all the schools that I said no to. And then he was like, yeah, but then you have to decide, because it's not good for you to keep climbing hills and climbing stairs. So I went and got a Fitbit. And then, because see, this was in 2017, no one measured oxygen at that time. This is everything started after COVID, right? And so then I got a Fitbit, and the doctors were like, it's not the heart rate. Your problem is your oxygen. You don't know when your numbers drop. And even though you have so many pulse oximeters in your bags and everywhere, it's normal human thing. You don't check what your numbers or how you, like, what your symptoms are until you physically feel it. Like you don't even check what your blood pressure is until I think I'm having low pressure or high pressure, right? So then he said, your problem is oxygen. So I said, well, then let's just do something. It's just the fire alarm situation, right? You just need to detect the smoke and just ring alarm. And then he teased me saying, well, if anyone can do it with all that tech background, it's you, but we are revisiting the decision when you come back in 3 months. You need to tell me what you decided, whether you are changing the school and moving to live with your sister. So again, I felt like he was challenging me. So before I walked out, I asked him, what's the best place to measure oxygen other than the fingertip? Because I'm a developer. I'm not going to be wearing anything on my finger 24/7. And then he said the ear is the best place. I was like, okay, let's do a earring. And I walked out. And then I came back to Georgetown and I had to select my classes for the next semester. So I went and said, I have a crazy idea. I need to prove my doctor that I can live alone. Can I do independent study? Because I don't want to add more work to what I already do. So can I do independent study for credit? I want to develop a earring that measures my oxygen. And like the program there, it's like interdisciplinary. You can do whatever you want. So they were like, oh, we love crazy people. Yeah, just come up with the curriculum, a proposal, and just submit your proposal with a professor who would monitor your progress. And then I did that. In 3 months, I made the first prototype. And then I went back to my doctor and said, I made it. I can live alone now. And yeah, it was all a joke. I just wanted to prove to my doctor I can live alone.
Is he still your doctor?
He's my CMO now, yeah. Yeah, then when I went back, he said, you need to commercialize this because we have all my patients needs this. He said in US, close to 50 million people have cardiovascular conditions that needs oxygen monitoring, so you need to seriously think about this. But still, I was like, yeah, like I was like, I said, look, I'm a video game developer. I'm not going to do all this, and I came back, and then I so Georgetown has this maker space. So one of my part-time jobs was I worked there as a space coordinator. So I made the prototype there while I was working because that place has all the electronics and equipment I needed. And then I came and told my manager there, my doctor said that there's 50 million people in US who can benefit from this. And then he's like, so let's get you money. I was like, for what? And he said, start the company. I was like, okay, jokes apart. I was just telling that it's not going to happen. And I was just cleaning the space because it was like after we closed down. And then I saw him like pulling his laptop and started typing something. And then suddenly he was like, what's the name of the device? And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, what's the name? I said, it doesn't have a name, it's just a device. He was like, I need a name, I'm submitting a proposal. And so every year at school, they have this entrepreneur pitch competition done by Ted Leonsis, who's the owner of Washington Wizards, Washington Capitals, all the DC sports teams, like one of the major shareholders of Kava, and one of like he's like founding members of AOL. So so he has this pitch competition in school to fund. Every year he gives 100,000 prize money for students to start a company. So he said, like someone has to nominate the company for that. And it's like they fund all double bottom line companies. You need to have a social impact from whatever the proposal you pitch. So then he was like proposing to that. And I said, okay, if that makes you happy, you can write it. And then we took a piece of paper, and the initial name was just oxygen was O2, and it's wearable O2 wear. That was the initial name. So then he put me to that, and he was like, okay, let's get you this money. I was like, yeah, if it makes you happy, just submit, but I need to get selected first. And then after a week, I get an email saying, you are selected to pitch at this pitch competition, send in your formal application. I went to him, I was like, I don't know how to fill this because it was asking all the time, Sam. I'm a computer science person, I didn't even understand what a tam Sam was. And so I took that application, walked around the whole school asking everyone how to fill it. And so I submitted, and then I got selected as one of the finalists. And then when I went, they showed me the whole auditorium that I have to pitch at, which was like 1,000 people auditorium. I was like, I'm not going to come and pitch here. I said, are you nuts? I'm not, no words will come out of my mouth when I stand on this stage. I said, you might end up putting me in a hospital because I might end up getting a cardiac arrest on this stage. And then the solution they gave us, they put me to another pitch competition done by City Ventures, saying that's your training. That's the trial pitch that they only have 100 guests. You pitch for that. And then, so you will not have stage fear anymore. And then this was 1 week after that. And you said, then they said, then you have a training, then you come for this. So I went for that and I won the first prize and People's Choice both. But yeah, it was like $5,500. And then, but more than the money, what I learned was after watching everyone else who pitched, how to actually pitch and the sort of questions the judges will have. So then, right after that, it was Thanksgiving weekend. So the whole weekend, all I did was I redid my entire pitch and put an appendix supporting all the questions I thought they would have, and like completely changed my pitch. And then I won the entrepreneur prize, the first prize and People's Choice both again. and now I have $40,000. I was like, oh shit, people gave me money. Now I have to really do this. Yeah, now I have to start the company because, like, normally what students do is they get the money, some start the company, some actually don't. They just spend it on their own. But I guess it's just that, you know, I think it's this way we were brought up in Sri Lanka. Like, they, I, I didn't want to do that. I was like, they give me money believing in me to do this. I should not be spending it on something else. Right. So I went, and then the biggest hurdle was now I'm on F1 visa. I can't start a company. So I waited till I got my OPT and then went and incorporated the company. And then I was supposed to get the STEM visa for 3 years, but then they said I can't get the STEM because I am the employer. So then after that, one of my friends who runs a company, she said, oh, you can get a O1 visa. I'll connect you with my lawyer. And I had 2 weeks before the OPT expires to submit the application. Yeah, so yeah, it was crazy. Then after that, I told the school, and then Georgetown published so many media for me. So I have media to show. And they gave me all the letters I need, and then it was very sweet. Ted Leonsis gave a supporting letter for the visa, and then I got the O1. And after that, that same friend connected me with Cooley for the legal paperwork, and they Cooley helped me pro bono to get my patents in. So yeah, then I'm very picky, so it took me 1 year to get my first team members. But during that time, all I did was I got my whole IP done. Yeah, so that's how it started. So the first version, I did all the engineering, and then after that, I didn't want to waste the money. I'm a software developer. I'm not an electrical engineer. And like even doing that first prototype, I burnt about good 5,000, close to like about $5,000 worth chips because it's so tiny, like soldering and all that. I was like, okay, this is not my thing. I need to find someone who actually knows to get it to chip level. So that's the thing. So it took me 1 year to get my team because I'm just, it's, I think it's my project management background. I wanted to make sure I get people on my team who walk, like, who walk the talk, and who's not all just talk and keep bullshitting and don't know to do anything. This is something I've been doing even while I was working as a project manager. How I check when someone is actually, who knows the talk, walk the talk is I ask the same question in 3 different ways. So if it's someone who actually knows to walk the talk, they know I'm asking the same question in 3 different ways. And they're like, why are you asking me the same question? But if they're bullshitting, give me 3 different answers because they don't know what I'm asking. So that's something I've been doing throughout my whole, you know, life as a project manager and developer when I was bringing people to the team. So I was doing the same thing. That's how I was filtering people. So it took me 1 whole year to find my CTO, George. Even before I could ask that question, my friend just said, I know someone who I think might fit what you want because he has experience in developing pulse oxys and wearable. And he had told that I'm looking for someone. And even before I had a chance to talk, he emailed me saying, okay, I think we can do this and we can get it to this. I think the first version we can get to this size. This is the bomb, and I think this is. And he sent me the semantics, everything, the diagrams, everything saying, I think we can do this. He said, I just need these parts, and initially it won't cost. We will try to find the cheapest parts. And he was like, you don't need to pay me. I have a job. uh, this is this sounds very interesting and I love to be a part of it. I was like, okay, you are in.
How many iterations have you gone on the product now?
So we did 7 iterations. So I started this in 2017 on my own, and by the time I incorporated everything, it was 2019. So I started the company in 2019, and then I incorporated in 2019 April. Then I got my CTO only end of November that year. So 8 months I was looking for people, and same with my industrial designer. So they both were the first team members, and then he did the first iteration in 2 months. Yeah, that's the thing. When you get people who knows what they're doing, you're not wasting time or money.
So, where are you right now in terms of the company stage? What sort of company metrics like revenue, traction, all that kind of stuff? Can you just paint a picture for us?
We are selling the device now for pro athletes, and we our devices went to Everest last November with the Altitude OCR World Championship. And to date, since we launched the device in January, we have sold more than 250 devices. And in addition to that, we are like talking to multiple altitude training centers to use during their training and for pro athlete centers. And if anyone was watching our Instagram, like the age athlete agencies are using our device as their training pack for the pro athletes who are like NBA, NFL players. And now we are just about to submit for FDA, hence, this is what I'm doing. We are 4 weeks from submitting for FDA. So we will have the approval, worst case, by the end of first quarter next year. Then this will be a prescribable device for people so that it gets covered by their insurance.
Because without FDA approval, you can't actually say it's a medical device. Got it.
So we literally have two websites. We have like OxiWear.com, which is facing FDA, when we have OxiWear Fitness, which is facing the pro athlete side, the whole fitness market. To show the device, this is the device. So it comes on your ear, and it's the same as pulse oximeter, but this real time. So it continuously keeps monitoring your numbers, and you can set the level you want to know at, and it starts buzzing on your ear when your oxygen levels fall below that level. So patients use it to know before they end up with cardiac arrest, but athletes use it to know that they are on their peak performance level. Because for athlete to maintain their performance level and endurance, they always need to be above 97 oxygen. When they fall below 97, they physically feel it and they get tired.
So do the athletes wear it?
During training, because they do like endurance training, they use this for their especially like off-season training. And then also the altitude, at least they wear it so that they can prevent altitude sickness, hip haze, everything that happens in altitude because of low oxygen consumption. So it's a safety device for altitude athletes. And then cyclists and all use it for endurance training. And most of these pro athletes do altitude training, so they drop their oxygen to 81, up to 81, and train so they can function better with high oxygen levels then. So then for those training and all, the coaches use it as a safety mechanism to make sure they don't drop below those numbers while they're training, and they know when to exactly stop the training, because otherwise you scar your lungs.
Right. And I'm assuming you have some sort of an app which sends the information and the athlete can look at everything.
Yeah. So we have this is standalone, but once you connect to the app, it shows the real time numbers. So you can see all your real time numbers. And then currently we do oxygen heart rate, but we're already calculating respiratory rate, perfusion index, heart rate variability, heart recovery rate, VO2, and we actually can do a lot of vitals because we are a real time monitoring device.
How are the accuracy levels?
We are like clinically great, clinical level, because we have done all the clinical trials for FDA. It's tested for all clinical requirements. So we are pretty much a hospital level accuracy. No one else does real time. Everyone does spot reading, and they only can do when you're not moving. But no one can do oxygen monitoring when I'm on a moving person. To date, we have 60 patents issued with 43 pending. So I say I own the year.
Is it really tight?
Nah, you don't even feel when you. The problem is most of the people they put it on to try and they take it home because they forget it's on the ear. And I have to run behind people asking you are wearing my device. So it's very light and it's like literally all medical grade silicone, everything because from the beginning itself, even though I knew we were going to release to fitness, I didn't compromise on the quality, accuracy, anything. Like the first thing we did was we read the whole FDA guidelines before we even selected the materials or the parts. We read the whole thing and then we started from the beginning, even on the software development side, everything we did following the FDA guidelines. Because even for the fitness app, it's medical grade. We have all the HIPAA compliance, the security layers, just as a medical device. Everything that's needed, all the encryption levels, so that we don't need to do two different things and waste money.
That's a great lesson in working backwards. So tell us a little bit about how the idea started off as kind of targeting the medical space, and then you mentioned pro athletes. What was that journey like? What was the thinking like?
I was actually like trying, I knew it was like the others could use it, but I didn't know how to market it. And then what happened was I, so I randomly met Katie Ledecky's brother, the Olympic swimmer. So her brother came and told me that my sister needs this. She's an Olympic swimmer. And he gave me the card and said, let's like meet up for coffee and have a chat. And then I came home, I was looking at the card and I was like, Ledaki, very familiar last name. And then only I was like, oh shit, Olympic swimmer, Ledaki, Katie Ledaki. And then I met him and I was like, is Katie Ledaki your sister? He was like, yeah, I told you, right? I was like, no, you just told me your sister is an Olympic swimmer. And so then after that, he connected me with the Olympics head physician. So he said he needs it for training. And so what we did was, in addition to the medical stuff, we added all the fitness monitoring, all the functions they need as well. So we did it as a medical plus fitness for anyone to use as a combinational device. And because what he liked was initial itself as a patient, I know how the weather affects your oxygen levels because humidity, altitude, temperature, air quality, they all affect your oxygen intake, meaning it affects your oxygen levels in the body. It like because when you don't have enough intake, your blood oxygen drops down. So because as a patient, I knew that I wanted to know those as well. So the app already had that. And the coach loved it because he said, this is what exactly we need for us to know at different locations how they perform and for us to change the training mechanisms to match to those data and also to before when we go to a different location to see like okay at this elevation how did they perform the last time and then for them to change the whole strategy for the game, like how much time they stay in the court or how do they need to replace, right? And then especially if it's swimming, like where do they need to put more energy. So likewise, so then with him we worked on a dashboard for him to live monitor their athletes, so to pull all this live data to his dashboard and for him to do the training. And then after that we were reached out by so many athletes because of that. And then we got selected for the lead accelerator, which is the legacy of Adi Dassler. The Adidas founding family does a accelerator. So we got selected. It's a sports and health tech accelerator. So they select any sports tech devices that has a health side as well. So then with them, we strategize the whole business model and the go-to-market strategy for the athlete side. And then we launched it first for the athletes. And it's just I knew I need to go out first, but I didn't know how to do it for the athlete side, how to market it. So then with them, we came up with the whole marketing, the messaging, and then now I needed to come up with a brand that fits both sides. So then I decided like, okay, what we do is give them freedom, right? Whether it's a patient or athlete, what we provide them is the freedom to go and break the barriers, right? To do what they want, what they love, to just not limit yourself to go try out and do all the extremes they want to. Because I'm an adrenaline junkie and I know what it feels to be able to do what you want to do without having to worry about your numbers. So then after that, I reached out to my friend in Sri Lanka, Asela, who used to work, who's in the whole branding area. And then Chanaka, yeah, his company only did the whole Gajaman movie. So I reached out to two of them, and then Asela came up with my whole video. My brand is freedom. You need to do it in a way like it gives the message to the athletes, whatever the endurance and altitude, extreme, everyone. So he did the whole script and then he worked with Chanaka's team and they did the whole our freedom video for our launch. So, and my developers are all in Sri Lanka because I worked as a developer. I reached out to all my connections and pulled people to work with us. So all my software mobile app developers are in Sri Lanka. The engineering, see what I did was everything I need to see in person, like the user interface design, the engineering, everything that needs to have a touch and feel, I hired them from here, and everything that can be done remote, I hired them from Sri Lanka.
Sounds like you spent a lot of time with these sports people. What were some fascinating things you learned or things that surprised you as you spent time with them training and such?
They're really nice people, they're so down to earth. Like for example, I told you, like I'm a very shameless person. So I just, the first thing I did was from the moment I started the company, I just send all my newsletters randomly to every Tom, Dick, and Harry who I think should be interested. I scrape LinkedIn and find all their emails, and then I add them to my newsletter. So one of the people I emailed was Mark Cuban. Surprisingly, he reads all my newsletters. So I started doubting my CRM system whether it was actually telling me the truth. I go for most of the events, and then Ted Leonsis also introduces me to people because he owns sports teams. And then I went for one of the Sports Business Journal events, and then Mark Cuban was there. I asked Ted because they are friends that whether he can introduce me to Mark Cuban, and then Ted said if he doesn't disappear from the event as he usually does, I will introduce. But he has a bad habit. Just as it finished, no one can track him. He just disappears. And just as he said, he disappeared. But I'm always the last person to leave an event. I always stay till the last person because I talk to everyone and try to get their contacts and email because you never know when you will need them, right? So I talk to everyone and get their contact and keep in touch so that later on when I need, I have their contact to go to. So then I was talking to one of these investors, which is like the Drive Fund. So like they invest in Series A, but I wanted to build that connection now itself. I knew they were not investing now, but I wanted him to have my newsletter to see the progress so that he'll be interested when it comes to Series A. And then I was walking out, and then I could hear someone from behind saying, "Ah, finally everyone's out. I can have a coffee now." And then when I turned, it was Mark Cuban. And then he was just talking to me. I was like, "Oh, so you actually did disappear?" He was like, "Yeah, I was hiding behind because I don't like when people come and, ask me, can you do this? Can you do that? I don't want to say no to people. So it's better to like stay inside and come back when everyone's out." So, and then he was like, "So what do you do?" And he was just having a chat while he was putting his coffee. I said, "No, I have this company, OxiWear." And he was like, "Oh, you're the ear wearable girl, right?" I was like, "You know me?" He was like, "Yeah, you spam my email since 2019." He said, "Oh, so you actually read my emails?" He said, "Yeah, yesterday you sent me one too, right?" I was like, "Yes, I did." So he was like, "So how's it going?" And he asked me what we are doing. And then he said, "When you are minimizing it to like the hearing aid site, let's have a chat so that we can see how to put it in hearing aids." And I was like, I'll be still spam. Well, I was like, but I'll be still spamming your email. That's fine, right? He was like, yeah, you just keep me posted so I know where you are and we can talk at the right time. And then after that, Adam Silver came, the NBA commissioner, and he also was having nice conversation. They're actually really down to earth. Like they were chatting, and then they took a photo with me, and I was in the middle. There are like two lampshades on, like right next to me. I'm like five. They're like six, seven. It's always it's nice. Like you're starstruck for a moment, but then they're so nice. You actually forget that they are really high net worth individuals. See, I'm very Sri Lankan. I still go to work in with my rubber slippers. I wear just my the torn jeans, the rubber slippers, and my t-shirt. That's how I go to work. That's how I go to events. That's I just if it needed, I put a blazer on top of that. So I went to Georgetown to meet one of my investors, and then the program director said, I'm taking some high net worth individuals for dinner. You need to join me. I said, and this was during winter. So I was like in this traffic light looking like windbreaker. I said, I'm not dressed for it. He said, oh, that's fine. Just come in. I'm like, are you sure? So then we went for this dinner and it was like, you know, no jeans policy restaurants. It's one of those. And here I am in rubber slippers. And I walk in and then people were like looking at me. I said, I know I'm not dressed, but they said I need to come. And then he's like, yeah, they told me you will be coming, just go in. So I went in, and then so they got me to sit next to this person, and then I was having a chat with him. He was asking, asking very VC questions. I'm telling you, I'm going to buy your company for 150 million. Are you going to sell it to me? I was like, no, why should I sell it to you when I can make like when I can sell this for like 500 million, why should I sell it for 150? And he was like, okay, I would invest in you. I was like, oh really? He was like, yeah, that's how we would react. Like you should never say I will sell, then they would stop. They want to 4x their income to make sure that the founder will not sell the company and they will not lose their money. So I asked whether, because he gave me some good ideas. He even told me like how to raise my next round and the valuations after FDA would look like. So I asked, can I connect with him on LinkedIn? And he said, I'm not on social media, but give me your phone. I'll email to myself and then I will email you and we can keep in touch. And then while I'm driving, I get this mail. So he responded to the mail he sent. So while driving itself, I just opened the email and then the signature says, Global Chair of Investment Banking, JP Morgan Chase. I literally stopped the car. I was like, why didn't you tell me that this is who it is? You know, like, well, I didn't want you to get stressed about the person, and I just wanted it to be you. You to be you and just go and talk to him like how you talk to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. So that he knows you for who you are rather than you trying to be very careful of what you speak because of his position. Everyone in my board and everyone, that's how I had met because I just talk to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. I don't know who they are most of the time.
Amazing. So, Shavini, just wanted to get some thoughts on the customers and those who wear your device. Do you talk to them regularly? Do you have a feedback loop that you kind of set up? And what's the sort of feedback that you're currently receiving? And also, just adding on to that question, what is the one feature that they really say they love about this?
So we literally have about 98% positive feedback. Like our patients and everyone, they love it. And something I've made sure is if they ever have a problem, because majority of our users are elderly. They're like our parents, doesn't know how to set up a device, how to set up a mobile app. So they have like issues, but which are like basic issues, which I know like because of the age they can't figure out. So then most of the time what I do is I jump personally on a Zoom call with them. The funniest part is because I'm a patient, I am on these patient groups. So I can see everything that they talk. Then there's this one person, she's like, you guys need to try this device. Oh my god, it's so awesome. Like my Apple Watch can't do this, but now I go for walks because I can see my numbers. And if you have problems, she's super nice. She will get on a Zoom call with you and help you to set it up and clarify all the issues and help you and teach you how to wear it properly. And I was like in the office, I was like, should I like this? They were like, no, no, they will stop talking. And then we run surveys and we ask them like to give their own feedback and any additional features they want and what their experience is like so that we can keep improving. Now the best example is when they wore the devices to Everest. We only were able to drop the oxygen at that time to 95 because due to FDA we can't drop it below because it's literally life and death. If someone's oxygen dropped below 95 and they didn't know. But the tricky part is at altitude, everyone's at least like between higher to lower 80s. But they could only drop it below 95. And when they came down, the CEO of the championship he asked me, "From where did you find this battery?" So I thought like the device didn't work. He was like, "My Apple Watch was dead, my phones were dead, but this tiny thing was just buzzing on my ear the whole trek." So then we took their feedback and we updated the app, and by default we set it to 95, but we introduced a primary use option in the settings. So for anyone who selects altitude training or altitude trekking as their primary use case, then we allow just those users to drop their say level up to 81. Based on the feedback we get, we keep improving the device, we keep improving the app. And now we got reached out by cyclists asking if they can put their Garmin data, the GPS data, so they can actually check during the whole cycling tour at which location did their numbers drop, rather than them having to timestamp and figure out where was I during this time. We are a very niche product. Our market is not the Apple user. Our market is people who sees oxygen monitoring as their primary pain point. Right. So I'm going for the painkiller market. I'm not going for the vitamin market. I want to make sure that I meet all the requirements of this painkiller market, because then if I can perfect it to them, it's easy for me to go to the vitamin market.
Do you also do any integration with Garmin and the other products that are out there?
Whoever has an open API, we can now we are working to pull, but we don't pull everything. We only pull like okay, for example, with Garmin, we don't pull oxygen and vital because we know they're not medical grade. But we pull only the location data so that we can have the map. Because I'm very cautious about accuracy. And it's the same way like anyone who wants to pull our data, we are a health device. Blood oxygen is literally saying if someone can do something or not. So athlete can get kicked off from a league because if they know what how their numbers are like. So only we share data only if the user gives permission. We don't allow anyone to pull data. So how we enable them, even the API, we have API licensing, we have hardware licensing where we open a second BLE channel to read data out for like remote patient monitoring companies or for other performance monitoring platforms.
Shavini, can I ask, how do you currently make money? Basically, I guess I'm asking you what your business model is currently.
Currently device sales. So currently we are not a D2C, we are a B2B. But we have the website open for D2C for anyone like trekkers or just patients who want to buy out of pocket. But we don't spend money on marketing. We are directly going to B2B like training centers, hospitals, likewise like B2B, so we can sell in bulk. So that's how our main money comes. But now we are launching the premium app, so then we have two versions. The 499 for anyone who wants unlimited data, because we have so much data, it's every second data. So if it's 3 hours, it's like 32,000 data sets. and we can't give everything for free because we have to pay AWS. So because of that, we limit the download for free for 5 hours, but they can see the oxygen heart rate for free. But anyone, if they want to get like heart rate variability, heart recovery rate, VO2, respiratory rate, or anything additional, all the vitals, they need to go for a 999 subscription. So that gives us recurring revenue. But the licensing and data is where our main revenue is. So like in 5 years, what I see OxiWear is as literally like MasterCard of health data. Device is just a medium.
A question around your team. Who is your core team and what do they do? How do you guys work together?
We have positions, but we have no hierarchy. Even the intern, I sit and have lunch with them. Currently, we are 11 people in US and 11 developers in Sri Lanka. But we have a lot of interns in the office. So currently, like C level is just me. I'm solo founder, and then I have my CTO, and then I have my doctor who's the CMO. That's it. And then rest I have like head of the UX, user experience, like product design. Likewise, whoever has joined initially, they have like equity in the company. I give equity after checking. You know how it is after you give equity, the issues you have. So I make sure they, if they survive for 1 year, and then you can see like what they're like, the personality, everything. Then after that, I give them the options. Managing people is a hard part. Work is easy.
Just connecting that, like, what is your current company culture like? Because you have remote staff, you've got people on the ground. There's lots of interns. You said, what does your current day to day look like, and how do you kind of build culture?
We are literally, everyone wears multiple hats. Right now, it's FDA testing time, so even the designers, everyone is testing. Everyone knows how to update firmware for a device. Everyone knows how to downgrade firmware on a device. Everyone knows how to debug the device. To be honest, interns love it. They're like, one of the schools called back and then they said, we send people to Congress, we send people to all these like, Fortune 500 companies. And these two interns said what they enjoyed the most was the work they did with you. And she said, she asked why. And then she said, because there's no hierarchy, it's so much fun. I actually felt like I'm a part of the company. So I train them on everything. They get to experience everything. That's how we do it. Like, I don't want to show that I know everything. I don't know everything. So like when my CTO handles all the engineering stuff, when he tells me, I'm like, what do you think is the best to do? Then when he explains, I'm like, okay, you are the expert. Like for you to do that, what do you need from me? And then I just pave the path for them. That's all I do. Like for everything that the other teams do, I just ask them what do they need, and I make that whole path and keep so that they can go get things done. Okay, by the time the engineering is done, I make sure the software side is ready to integrate. So I do the whole middleman thing, and then I test. I'm the first guinea pig. I test everything. Like even to date now, every device that goes out, I test them personally before we ship it out. We test for the range. We test literally the charging works. We put it to charge and see whether the charger charges. We check whether the cables work. We check everything. We have a whole checklist. We check all that and then only we ship it out. It's first customer is the one who brings you sales. So you need to make sure they're happy.
That's the beginning of a startup, right? Everybody's hands on. You want to make sure customers have the best experience. How do you envision the next stage of that? So you think about scaling it or you're not worrying about that?
See, the thing is, I don't want to put money now where it's not needed yet. So currently, where I put my money is making sure I have the best development team, its product, and having those regulatory approvals. And we have the competitive advantage over others because once we have the FDA, it will take 4 years for someone else to catch up to us because FDA takes 4 years. So that's my focus now. At this level, I am the best salesperson, right? Because people believes me because I'm the customer. No one else can sell it the way I sell, right? Because I can show and how it has helped me and everything. So therefore, I'm not spending money. But then, just as we have the FDA, we will raise the Series A because we want to expand it to 50 people, and then I will bring on like business development, sales, marketing, and then like a engineering, a project manager, so that all this additional stuff that I keep doing, I can hand it over so that I can actually come home and chill a bit without having to answer phone calls all the time. Like, for example, today in the morning, I was holding my toothbrush for 1.5 hours and I was on the phone. I want to be able to have my time on my own. I can't remember the last time I had a holiday.
Sounds like the start of life, and you're going in the right direction. So hopefully you get to brush your teeth in peace soon. How's your health condition been, and like, does that affect the work that you do?
I have pitched to investors from ICU. So health never gets in the way of my work. So I was in the hospital and then now I'm on a meeting and then they said they need to take me for MRI. I'm like, okay, hold on guys. I'm putting my earphones. I'm in the wheelchair, but I can talk. So then I went to the MRI room and then now nurses and all are looking. I'm like, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. And then I finished it and I went for the MRI. We were just closing the round at that time, the previous, like the pre-seed round. And then it was the last investor who I had to jump on a call with, who's putting the last check to close the round. I don't think they should know I'm in hospital. Otherwise, they will be like, "What if she dies? Like, we should not put this money." Because people have asked me, like, if you die, what's going to happen to our money, right? And I've told them like, you may die before me because I survived 4 cardiac arrest. My nurses came and they were like, "Why? What's the issue?" I'm like, "I have a meeting with the investor. How should I do this?" She turned my whole bed. My back is to the window. They can't see any monitors. Now I'm like wired, like, there's a blood transfusion and iron transfusion happening on this end, and the IV lines are there, like three, like, the emergency arterial line. Like, I'm like completely with tubes and all the wires hanging from my chest. And she combed my hair, and she brought the sweater I wore to the hospital, and then she put it on so all the wires and everything is covered. And then she said, "Okay, now you look good. You can." She was like, "Do you need some makeup?" I said, "Some lip gloss would do." And then she put like lip gloss and she's like, "Okay, I'm going to block the door. You can do the meeting." So I finished the whole thing. And my board member also joined. Now he knows I'm in the hospital. And I sent in the chat saying, "Do not open your mouth, just shut up." So I did the thing, I got the check. So yeah. And that's the funny part. Like all these doctors who I have met in the ER, in the ICU, they're all my friends. They market my product. Once I was like getting admitted to John Hopkins. Now I'm like going in the stretcher, and then this nurse is like, "You're the pulse oximeter girl. What are you doing in hospital?" I was like, "Yeah, the pulse oximeter girl also has to sometimes rush to hospitals." I said,
Have things like gender, age, ethnicity kind of got in the way? I'm sure you broke through it from the sounds of it, but are there any stories?
there are investors who ask me. First of all, they think I'm 21. How are you going to like do a company? I'm like, I have 3 masters. I'm 40 years old. I'm like, I have 15 years of work experience. They have told me like, you need a co-founder. I'm like, what is this founder going to come and find? Everything is done. I said, if anyone should be the co-founder, it should be George, my CTU, not some outsider who comes in after everything is done and take the credit for everything. I said, I got this far, and why should I give all the credit to someone who will just come in and give equity for someone who doesn't even deserve it? I'll rather give it to people who have stuck with me for 5 years with no money. Then I got a position offer. They were like intimidating me to agree. They and they said, you are a woman, you are brown, who's going to fund you? I said, I'm disabled too. I tick all check boxes. I said, I'm a good CSR case. You need to get updated. So I got up to walk out of the meeting, and then because he said, "Oh, we are not investing," because it was supposed to be investment meeting, but then the conversations were going into a position. I said, "Since you're not investing, no point of wasting your time or my time. I'm going home." And I got up, and then he was like, "You're leaving?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "We can give you 6 million." I'm like, "I have nothing to do with 6 million," I said. And then he's like, "Let's sit down. We can have a chat." So I sat down, And then I was like furious. I was like tears, like because I can't tell him off. I thought, okay, let's calm down and let's see if we can make things work. There was a lady who was with him, and she was like, "Oh, you don't need to cry. You don't need to be sad. We can work it out." Ah, that was it. I just got up and said, "Oh, I don't cry when I'm sad. I cry when I'm pissed off and when I can't say off to the face." I said, and this was in New York in a VVIP club. I just told him off and I walked out of the meeting. I said, if I'm ashamed, and then they said, oh, you have a disease. You must be like worried whether you'll wake up in the morning. I was like, no, I don't have such issues. I said, even you won't know whether you'll wake up tomorrow morning. Like, why should I worry about this? I'll wake up in the morning. I said, and I said, I'm not ashamed of my disease. Maybe you are ashamed of your disease, whatever you have. I said, because if I'm ashamed of my disease, I won't be walking around Wall Street wearing oxygen cannula. I said, so please get your facts right. I don't think this is going to work. I'm walking, and I walked off. My team knows it. Everyone knows. My investors knows it. I'm a super nice person. I hardly get pissed off. I to be honest, I never get pissed off because I don't take things to my head. I always, when people tell something, I, sarcastically bounce it back. And that's me. And I always say, but if someone can piss me off, they are very talented. Like, for example, last week, like, I really had to like tell my team, I said, look, everyone's working 24/7, and just because of one or two people, I don't want everyone's effort to go on waste. I'm a very nice person. I always try to treat you nice. I'm like a friend. There's no, like, there's no hierarchy here. I said, but please don't think that any you can walk over me, because if needed, I can be the CEO too. I said, you will see. I said, please don't make my Terminator side come out. So please don't make me drive up all the way across state. Hiring is easy, firing is a hard decision. So please don't make me make that hard decision. I said,
On this journey, what are some non-obvious things you've learned, or what are some things like you failed at?
funding. I always tell everyone, if someone says FDA cost you this much, estimate 4 times of that. That's how, because no one tells you the hidden cost. The initial estimate we got was it will cost us around 500,000, but to date we have spent more than 1.5 million just for FDA. You raise, then you run out of money, then you again have to go and raise. Yeah, that's the part I have failed, like estimating how much, because I need to be fair for the investors, not to dilute too much. At the same time, I need to find the money. The thing is, I can't even cut cost anymore because we actually have the lowest burn rate any company can have. Like, for anyone who's doing a medical device, like, always 4x your raise. If a startup founder of a normal company needs 2x grit and perseverance, FDA medical device founder needs 10x. It kills you alive. That's how much work it is. End of last month, with our burn rate, we would have run like 2 months more, so that I had enough time to wait till the next checks comes. And then here we go, we got a bill from a test lab. They said if we don't pay that, they won't release the report. We have a hard deadline for the FDA. We had to submit before 30th September. So if we don't get that, everything like gets pushed up and we will be really stuck. So I had no option. I had to pay them and get it. Now here you go. I have $4,000 in the bank account. We were supposed to get a check, and now I had to run the payroll. So I sent a message to the team saying, "This is the bank balance." I said, "There's nothing to lose. I'm going to run the payroll." I said, "But I'm going to take the risk and run it. We may get a black mark from the payroll system for having a payroll, like, rejected." But I said, that's fine. One black mark is enough, not an issue. So I'm running it. I said, but if anyone has any urgent bills to pay, please let me know so I can at least send that amount for you to settle the bills. And then the whole team was like, no, that's fine, don't worry about it. Monday is fine. They all said, like, Monday is fine, don't worry. And then Friday morning, the check was there and everyone got paid. So that's how we have run the company. Like, we have had zero balance, we have had 4,000, we have had 2,000. We survived 4 years. So when I send the newsletter, the quarterly newsletter, in the quarterly newsletter, I have to send the bank balance for June, right? So it was 4,000. I have never got so many people checking on me on one day. All the investors were like, the company is going down. What's going to happen? I'm like, no, it's not going down. There's checks coming. It'll come end of the month. I said, but I have to show the June balance. Like, I can't show you the July balance. And then someone was like, why did you even have to put it? I said, look, it has to be transparent. I don't want things to go wrong and people to tell me I didn't tell you. Here you go. Everything is out there. It's out there. You see how we are doing it. I said, worst comes to worst, if we don't have money, we'll not take the payroll. We have done this during COVID for 1 year. Like none of the team members got paid during COVID. We all went without pay so that we put all the money for development. I said this is not nothing new. We have done this. We are used to this. I said, and the whole team is in this with me. The suppliers are in this with me. So I would appreciate if you also just please calm down and let me do what I'm doing. As I'm done, I'll show you that. I'll show you how it's done. I said.
What's the other, one thing that keeps you up at night? The main biggest concern, and how do you overcome that?
See, I'm a very chill person. I never panic. And what I say is, what I say is, if someone doesn't panic when they get a cardiac arrest, they don't panic for anything in life. My panic button is malfunction.
As a founder, as someone doing a startup, it's highly stressful. You've got a situation where you've got to make payroll and so on and so forth, and then there's no funds to do it, and all of these sort of challenges. How do you look after yourself? How do you maintain your mental well-being?
I watch comedy and my stress release is driving. I'm an adrenaline junkie, so I'm a race driver. I just go drive up and down when I'm stressed. So because when you're driving, you can't think of anything. You need to focus. And I go climbing. So I do all the extreme stuff, so you have no time to think of work. Especially like during COVID. Like that time we had no investments coming in. I pitched to 347 investors. Like there were days that I pitched to 8 people and all 8 would say no. So then I sent a message on Slack saying, do not call or text me. I may end up taking it all out on you because I'm going to watch a comedy now. I said, until I finish watching that, please do not message me. You don't want me unloading the whole thing on you. It's funny, I've never watched K drama my whole life. Now I watch K drama because of my stress.
What's something that from your younger days that you kind of shaped you to who you are today?
It's just how I've grown up. Because at home, I literally grew up like a boy. See, I'm from a family with so many boys. So I had to grow up to survive with them. So, see, in my family, I'm like me, I'm the eldest. I have a younger brother and then I have a sister. But all my cousins are boys, right? And it was estate. So we play in the evening, right? So, and there was no internet, right? It was all hardcore games. We cycle up down the hill, we hike, and we play cricket. And then when we fight, we literally just put down everyone and punch. So they taught me literally how to self defense myself, and then I've literally grown up. I was raised like a boy, and I studied in a convent. So it's like the complete opposite of who I am. Yeah.
We call this big, hairy, audacious goal, with with your life, or whether it's in your company, something that you really, really want to do.
To be honest, I don't have something like that. I'm a very happy-go-lucky person. I live for the day. But when I sell the company, I want to open a Sri Lankan food truck. When I sell the company, and my investors like they go all like, huh? Because I don't. There's no Sri Lankan food in DC. The see, I'm very content with my life. My policy, yeah, because too much money, too much headache. So I love the current life.
Thank you so much for sharing all of these amazing, and remarkable stories. So the last part of this segment is called rapid fire.
So, name someone or something that inspired you.
Martin Rothblatt, the United Therapeutic CEO.
What's something people don't know about you? or get wrong about you, or surprised to find out about you?
I have a very sarcastic mouth. Whatever I say, don't take it personally. There's nothing personal. It's just I have a bad.
What's a widely accepted norm that you disagree with?
I'm a woman, but women keep complaining that the men don't treat them equally. But as far as I know, it's women who cuts women's throats. So you first need to treat women right for men to treat you right. I'm a woman, but this is something I've seen, and this is what's exactly happening. It's women who stops women from going up the ladder. So women needs to stop that first before they expect anything from men.
How would your critics describe you?
My friends call me Shavineta, and my investors say I'm a force of nature. Don't mess with her. And yeah, my friends, everyone says she may look tiny, she may be smiling, but do not mess with her. You will be surprised.
Was there any sort of thoughts you wanted to share that maybe, or any questions you wished we asked you that you'd like to take this moment to share with everyone? Or
Whatever we do, that it's something I always live by, and it's something I always say. None of us knows when we would die, and whatever the money and everything you hoard, you are not taking it with you. It's at the end of the day, all the good you do, what you help, that's what you do, what you take with you. But there's no point of helping people expecting something in return. It's the thought that matters, right? If you help people thinking, I should help this one so that I can get then this one to do this for me, I think then it gets nullified. So whatever you do, you need to do wholeheartedly. It's like it has to come fully like from within. That's what I believe. Otherwise, no, genuinely it has to come out. If you're doing something, do it genuinely. Don't do it to show off to the world that you help someone. At the end of the day, the smile that comes from that person's face when you do that help for them, even $6 million that investor would was going to give me can replace that smile. So that's what I believe.
Thank you so much for taking the time, Shavini. This has been amazing. A lot of nuances, and the little stories that we also don't get to kind of speak about or share with our audience. And I hopefully, once this do become live, there'll be more people who will genuinely reach out to you and support you in getting OxiWear to the stage where it deserves to be, so that you can help millions of other people out there. But thank you so much for taking the time and sharing everything.
No problem at all. Like, thank you for giving me this chance and having me.